is Larry Liberty. I'm the executive producer of DC Universe Online. And I'm here today to talk about DC the game, what we've done since we last spoke, and what we have planned for the coming year. The two big developments since we last spoke. There was DLC 5, but I'll focus mostly on this year. Home Turf launched in January of this year.
Which is awesome.
And introduced player-based system. And we've continued to release themes and items for your base. And of course it brought with it mainframe abilities. And we've continued to tweak, and there's some things that we'll continue to add to the player-based system, and I'll get to that in a moment. Origin Crisis came out, and as a comic book fan, it's probably my favorite DLC to date, just because of the storytelling within it. I like what-if scenarios, and alternate timeline, time travel. It's fun. So for those that don't know, Origin Crisis was the culmination of our launch storyline that involved future Lex Luthor and future Batman, and kind of their struggles. Very quickly, the primary reason why DC Universe Online exists the way it does, the reason there are so many new heroes and villains, our players, is because in the future Lex Luthor over here on the right kind of won. He killed Superman. Wonder Woman's dead. He's kind of victorious. The Earth is in shambles and lots of destruction and lots of death, but he kind of won. But right on the cusp of victory, Brainiac arrives and just ruins everything. He takes over. So Lex Luthor travels back in time and basically warns everyone, heroes and villains alike, what is to come and that they must work together. And he brings with him technology from Brainiac, from the future, that allows for the creation of all these new heroes and villains, all these players to take part in the DC universe. So Origin Crisis does kind of resolve that initial storyline, and it shows these alternate Batman, these variations of Batman and Lex Luthor working together against the opposite council, so to speak. And so you'll see Cyborg Lex Luthor, you'll see Spaceman Lex and Scientist Lex, and you'll see Ninja Batman, Steampunk Batman, all these interesting variations, and kind of coordinated effort on both parts to sort of restore and alter for their benefit the timeline. And for instance, as a villain, you get a chance to go on a mission back in time to Krypton, which is Superman's home planet, and alter the future of Superman. Bringing red kryptonite with you, you essentially corrupt baby Superman before he becomes Superman. And you actually, as a hero, get to see the fruition of that when you go up against Lex Luthor and you see that, he's got a bodyguard who happens to be an evil Superman, kind of darker, different. He's got the Lex 4 logo on his chest instead of the famous hook symbol. So a lot of really neat stuff, but that was raid heavy. Bigger group content was the focus for Origin Crisis.
We have this big story, and it's worthy of the universe.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was very fitting as a comic fan. I really appreciate that. Going forward, we plan to kind of tick-tock back and forth between big group content, that features raids, more on the bigger group content, to smaller group content, so solo, duo, and maybe another. DLC 8 is like that. So DLC 7, Origin Crisis, big group, raid heavy. DLC 8 will be friendlier, we'll have more content, really quite a few really cool duos. So if you're those players, and we do have a lot of players that prefer both, we want to be able to give them both what they want without waiting too long. I think in the past, one of the things that we learned is we waited too long between certain types of content. Like we went from, really in a lot of ways, DLC 3 to DLC 7, more than a year between real, raid content. So we aim to address that going forward. This is some early concept work for what we're calling Halls of Power, which will introduce League Halls. Building on the player base system, Leagues will be able to have these communal spaces that they can customize and they can call home, kind of like your own Hall of Doom and so forth. And there's a bunch of neat features that will be coming along with it that will just make Leagues work better. The UI will get better. we'll also be introducing concepts similar to league achievements or league leveling, things like that. So more details next year. This is something that will be coming sometime in the first half of next year. So we're really looking forward to that. We touched on this a year ago, but this is what we're calling Armories. If you've seen a Batman movie or Iron Man, you've probably seen what you might call suit tubes, and what we initially called them suit tubes. And for us, they are a perfect way to solve a problem that our players have complained about for a long time, and that is being able to easily switch back and forth, say, between a PvP and a PvE gear set. But we go far beyond that. So this is an example of 4 tubes in someone's base. So this will go in your base, and because you can have up to 4 bases, you can actually have up to 16 armories. And each one imprints precisely what you've got on you. So that includes skill point distribution, power loadouts, your style, and your gear, all of that. So you can be a very specific, like, I'm precision-based PvP guy, damage roll. I'm my tank PvP role, my PvE, my PvE tank, whatever. You can have very specific distributions, because as you probably know, skill points matter greatly depending on what you want to accomplish. Armories are going to be coming to a player base near you, hopefully before the end of the year, if not shortly thereafter. And our plan is to give everyone one, so they get they get some convenience, and they get to see how cool it is, and have something to show off, since everyone has at least a hideout. So they'll have a place for it. But like I said, you can have as many as 16 if you want to go crazy and be very specific, or also just have lots of style, style choices. I could see players wanting to do that. And speaking of player-based editions, we're also going to be updating the generator and allowing for teleporters. Don't have much more details than that, but teleporters will be coming, and they'll be another great convenience item, and I think they'll make bases even better. I guess that's just our cleansing of the palette screen. Sons of Trigon is DLCA. That's what we call DLCA, and it is coming out very soon. We'll probably have a launch date tomorrow, but I can safely say it'll be out within a month. It's on PC test right now, so players are members that play on PC test are actively playing now. Like I mentioned before, there's a focus on smaller group content. So there's Gotham Wastelands, which is it's pretty big. It's not as big as Gotham, but it's considerably bigger than Central City. And it has a bunch of new solo missions in it, and quite a few duos that are really, I think, very fun, that look good. I think the duos are really neat.
I've seen players play it and stream it and stuff like that.
And a new alert that has 4 players going up against Trigon and Circe or Wonder Woman, depending on your faction. So it's a pretty cool new alert. We're adding 2 new legends with the DLC, and later on we'll add a couple more that are kind of related to it. So with DLCA, you'll actually have access to Cheetah and Donna Troy, and in a month or so we'll be introducing Circe and Wonder Woman to the marketplace. So legends will continue to grow. A very cool thing is Celestial Powers. We're introducing that. For those that don't know, Celestial Powers is a new power type that has a healing role, and it's a different type of healer. It's very active healing. It is for those that actually want to get in, mix it up, and fight. And we introduced some new technology to allow us to transfer damage from your opponent to you or to others, and do some really interesting things with the power. Like there's an ability that allows you to kind of mark someone, and when they're KO'd, they send more power, or they send benefits to you in your group. So some really neat things. The other part of Celestial that makes it different is a new way of comboing. From like all powers, there are 2 trees. There's blessed and cursed, light and dark, good and evil. If you want to think of them that way. and they have a different look. The blessed are very pure, white, angelic effects, the effects for them, and the cursed are dark, black, purple,
Sinister.
darker. Yeah, more sinister. So if you actually pull off these combos, you can go from one tree to the next. So if you're a hero, you'll see yourself kind of channeling first white and then going to the dark effect. So it's neat. It reinforces that you're actually doing the combos right in a cool way. Kind of makes sense, and it rewards skill. Being if you're good at weapon combos, you should be good at this. You'll get better at it when you learn the timing. It's interesting mechanic. Just a few screenshots from DLC 8, some early stuff. That is the inside of the cathedral in Gotham. You for the first time, we'll actually get to go inside. You get to go inside Nightstone and see in this alternate Gotham what that's like. And those are duo locations, so you'll actually go up against one of the sons of Trigon. Like, you'll go up against Wrath, aka Jared. All of Trigon's sons have rather innocuous names that start with J, the letter J, but they're big, powerful demons, especially in the case of Jared, Wrath. So that's kind of what we've done, what we're about to do. Longer term, we want to, actually for Halls of Power, we want to introduce the concept of Statuary. And it's similar to leaderboards in a typical, in most games. But we want a way, again, to visualize it and make it part of the world that fits the comic book. So this is a screenshot from, well, you've probably seen this. These are giant statues of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. And for a scale, a character would be about, that big. So they're really big. So we want to let leagues celebrate their players in the same way. So, for instance, you could set up a statuary that is going to take the imprint of the best PvP player in some statistical category, or a number of statistical categories. So it's possible that you could probably find something that just about anyone in your league could be the best at. Mm-hmm. So if you find that you're always celebrating the same guys, you could mix it up and do some, maybe a guy that does more of a support role. You could find, what can I do to kind of give him something?
Yeah, what about the guy that died the most in matches?
I guess that is possible. He's celebrating failure in an unusual way.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and you can interact with it, and you can see kind of a list of, see how close you are compared to everyone.
Yeah.
So we think it'll incentivize, good play in a good way. So that's a cool system. As far as DLCs and the themes and storylines, what we want to do for the next 9 DLCs, so for the next 2+ years after DLC 8, is focus on longer storylines that we feel don't fit neatly into a single DLC. So we plan to start 3 different storylines that are meant to be 3 DLCs each. They're not all going to be these 3, then these 3, then these 3. We're actually going to be interweaving. Mm-hmm. So we'll start, DLC 9 will be War of the Light Part 1. That's what we're calling it now. Cool. And it'll dig deeper into Lantern lore. And particularly, there will be some Red and Blue Lantern, or Saint Walker will certainly make an appearance. And if you're familiar with Mogo and Ranks, they're going to be in DLC 9 as well. For those that don't know, Mogo is a member of the Green Lantern Corps, and he is a sentient planetoid. He's about the size of our moon, so he's obviously very big. He won't fit in your league hall. And Ranks is kind of the same thing for the Red Lantern Corps. Mm-hmm. And one of the neat things that we're going to do with this, we're going to start developing with 9 a new metropolis that's devoid of a lot of the signature stuff that makes it feel weird now if you're playing this big new storyline. So, for instance, the skybox would have Mogo and Ranks in it. You get to see them because they're in lower Earth orbit, and you'll see, lantern content, prismatic auras, and it'll be very fitting for that. So that's neat. So that's lanterns.
Okay, cool.
We're also going to be introducing an Amazonian storyline, where basically the Amazonians, for some reason, attack the world of man, and what happens when that happens, and
how to deal with that.
It's fun. There's a lot to chew on there. Wonder Woman is I think a really cool character that can be, we can do a lot with her. We can dig into her Greek mythological roots, and a lot of interesting things that we can do there. And something that our comic book fans have been waiting for a very long time is, right now we plan to start this off initially with Halls of Power, starting a New Gods storyline. So we actually want to visit the old gods. So those that don't know, Jack Kirby, father of Marvel Comics and many DC Comics, he came over to DC around 1970 and he created the New Gods, and they killed the old gods. In this case, the old gods were the Asgardian gods, of Thor and Odin, those characters. And so we want to actually, in the course of telling this story, at least revisit and give people a sense of foundation and history. And then at some point, I'm not saying when, visit Apocalypse, visit New Genesis, and there could be a dark side setting or two at some point. But again, expect to see him towards the end of that story arc, because he's big, he's powerful. For those that don't know, he's arguably the most powerful villain in the DC universe. He's also, I would say, the number 3 most popular villain in the DC universe after Joker and Lex. So we've had lots of requests for him in particular. So I'm very happy to start that storyline, I think, and our character artists want to do it.